Hello and welcome to Play Talk Repeat. I'm Oliver and I'm joined by Niall, Lewis, and Alex. You can say hi now.
Hello. Hello again.
Really good. It's time for our video game book club episode. Once a month, one of us picks a game and we all play it and review it. This month is Sifu, as chosen by Lewis. Lewis, what
Yeah.
fucking possessed you? What possessed you to do this to us?
Because I've seen the game constantly since it came out, and the game looked like it was a fun time. And after playing it, I stand by what I thought. It was a very, very fun time. It was a great game.
I didn't ask for your opening statement at all. I just asked for why.
Well, I gave him a
Spoilers.
why.
So, you can start with the opening statement since you picked it, I guess, Lewis. Hit us with it.
So Sifu for me was pretty much everything that I hoped it to be, if not better. I think this is some of the best combat I've ever experienced in a video game. Just due to how fluid, and how well presented it is. There's like over like 100 like combos and 100 moves and stuff, and they all flow together seamlessly. And due to the game's length, I just think it hands itself to that very well, and I just sort of think I think every aspect of it's perfect when it like coming down to like the music, the art style, the gameplay. Um and I genuinely don't think there's much wrong with it considering the experience it's trying to provide. So I gave it a 9 out of 10.
Oof.
I think that the game is genuinely almost perfect, and disregarding whether or not you hate it because it's hard or blah blah blah. I feel like the game does exactly what it wants to do, and I think it does it the best that any game has ever attempted to do it. Really, I'm not entirely sure why I wouldn't give it a 10 and why I wouldn't say it's perfect.
You don't like
I
giving
just,
tens out.
well, yeah, that's part of it. I don't overly like giving tens to everything, but like, this is very close to a 10.
Yeah.
It's just a very, very good game, a very, very good experience, and I just think it's a brilliantly crafted game. It's a very, very good time. Very, very
Eloquently put. Alex. See, I'm not picking Niall first this time.
good.
For
Because
a
you got
spoiler.
called out
You
on
didn't want to
it.
go from the best to the worst.
Yeah.
Ugh.
Go on, Alex. How's with it?
Right. I enjoyed Sifu. The only issue I had was because I played on normal as well as Lewis, it was very difficult for me, and I wasn't taking the coward's way out and going on easy and having to replay the entire game again. It's not a game I would go out my way to play normally. I did enjoy my time with it. I just didn't feel like I got the best experience out of it because I just didn't like overly enjoy my time with it. Am I just talking nonsense? I
No,
think
no,
I
no.
am.
No, no,
No,
no.
bad game,
Makes
bad
sense
game,
to me.
yeah.
Bad game.
I
What
just
did you
thought it's a difficult one because if I could have just played through all the levels once, it'd be like an 8 out of 10. But because of the amount of times I've had to replay levels, redo the same boss over and over again, which wasn't the worst experience, but having to redo it just to try and get younger and stuff was quite frustrating. So I'd give it a 6 out of 10.
6 out
I
of
will
10.
say to all the viewers though, just to point this out, that Alex has 20 hours in the game, and 10 hours of those game time plays were all spent on the last boss. So let's just factor that into Alex's review here about repeating bosses over and over again. Thank you.
Right. I'm gonna go next because mine's gonna be answering directly to Alex's. So you said you didn't want to take the coward's way out and play it on easy, but you've just said you would have scored it higher if you had. Like if you could have played
Yeah.
every level once and just enjoyed the game, you would have given it an 8 out of 10.
Because the easy mode wasn't intended for the game. It was added later.
That's
I want
true.
to play how the game came out.
It's not a mod though. It's not a mod. It's been put in for
No,
specific
I
by the
know, but
people.
the game was built with that difficulty in mind.
The game
That's how I wanted to play it.
The game itself does say when you start, or if you select the difficulties, it says this is the intended difficulty created for the game. So it does have an idea in mind of what it wants you to play it at to get the authentic experience. Not to belittle playing it on an easier mode, I still think that's fine. I'm just saying the game itself also does literally say the normal is the authentic intended experience.
I just like
Which is
enjoying my
true.
video games. You know what I mean? I don't want it to be a frustrating experience.
Well, that's
And
why
it-
they
yeah.
added. That's why they added the easy mode
And that's what we'll get
and the
into that
hard
later.
mode as well.
We'll get into what every game developer should do later in terms of easy modes. So Sifu. So I'm gonna start with my score. I gave it an 8 out of 10.
Yes.
Yes.
Let's go.
I really enjoyed my time with it. But Lewis, that is because there is an easy mode. It's because there's an easy mode. When I play video games, it's like fantasy fulfillment. You know, I want to be strong as fuck. I want it to be this karate guy who's gonna go in and just kick the shit out of everything. You know what I mean? And he did. And it'll just other than the difficulty, like it looks great. Some of the level design and some of the stages is really really good. It was fluid, like Lewis said. It as a beat 'em up, it's the best one that I've played.
Yes.
It works. It's kind of like the standard that all beat 'em up should be held to going forward. 8 out of 10. Just a great time. But it wouldn't have been if I played it on normal at all. It would have been much lower.
I mean, it's lucky that there wasn't all. I didn't know about the difficulties until I started playing it. I genuinely had no idea.
That upsets me that you picked it basically knowing that it could have been a bad time.
Yeah, but it's not like I knew it was gonna be that hard though either. Like I didn't know. It was just on a whim.
All right, now round us off.
3.5 out of 10.
3, come on, you baby. 3.
Jesus.
And I will say, whether you believe me or not, it's not because of how difficult it is.
Fucking average is fucked. It's so
Yeah.
3.
Yeah, so there's two things. One's design related and one's personal related as to the reason why I gave it so low. I don't think. Well, no. So I think games like this are made for a specific audience, and that's good. But for me in particular, I don't like it when games force you to play a specific way. Like, I prefer it when games give you a bunch of, well, like at least a few ways to play. Like, either to play like full combat or stealthy or like just run through the levels or use environment or something like that. And this game was capable of doing that. I just think that they wanted it to be a pure experience, and that's fine. But one example which stands out to me is that each room, the door was locked until you killed everyone. And like for me, I would have preferred it if I could, even at the detriment of it making other areas harder later by enemies following me. If I wanted to progress through a level without killing everyone, I should have been able to do that. Obviously, apart from the final boss, and using more elements to do with the environment. I thought that the stealth wasn't particularly well done. Like there were some areas where it was clearly set up so you were starting unknown to the enemies, but it was very difficult, first of all, to know what's going to trigger enemies to know where you are, but secondly, to actually just be able to accomplish that anyway. It felt almost impossible. So yeah, that's the one thing. And then the second reason, which I think was highlighted by the 2 different times of the day that I played, is when I don't have much time to play at the moment, games in general, and I play a lot of games at night, and I played this on Steam Deck, by the way, which I felt was a fine experience on Steam Deck. But I played on computer as well, and I thought genuinely the experience was roughly the same. But when I'm chilling at night, I do not want to be challenged. Like, I think that this game is better than, say, Final Fantasy Rebirth in almost every way in terms of like just the quality of the game, but I would much rather play Rebirth at the time I play the game. I have played it also in the mornings, and I found it a better experience. And also when I recorded the footage that you're seeing now on PC, I had a better experience. But that's more of a personal thing, which obviously the game has no control over. But yeah, that's me. I weren't too fussed about the difficulty, to be honest.
I just wanted everyone to clarify as well. So Niall did play it on easy like I did.
Yes.
You also give it a
modifiers.
3.5 due to a skill issue, which I find rude.
The biggest issue of what he said was the fact that he said you can't just run through the area. Like
that would defeat the purpose of the entire game.
It's a beat 'em up. Like no, even on like if you're playing like the old Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles beat 'em ups, the screen won't progress unless you've killed everything. That's just the way that every beat 'em up is.
If enemy placement and the level design was designed so that it was a puzzle in order to do that, I'm not just saying literally you open a door and run from from one door to another, but you had to go through areas where you had to dodge enemies in order to get past them, or maybe there's like 3 enemies in the way and you have to kill one of them and then run past the other 2, that sort of thing. I'm not saying like literally you are just holding forward through the entire game experience, just the option to be able to go through the game without killing everyone. I think it's also, I mean, it's great for player expression, which I think is always important in games. But also, I think it could be good for the player to build their own narrative. I think the narrative it has like a very clear message, but it's also there's what's called, I think, ludonarrative dissonance sometimes, when it forces, which is if you don't know the difference between gameplay and narrative and them not matching up, the fact that it forces you to like kill everyone, I think, can go against the message which it's trying to tell. Especially on like a second playthrough, which I assume Lewis is going to tell about.
Yeah,
later.
well, I will speak more about the second playthrough later. I just feel like thematically it make I don't know. I would argue just the opposite, and that thematically it does make sense, because it's at least the first playthrough is about it being a bloodthirsty revenge story. So obviously he's going to be incredibly mad and just sort of beat the shit out of everything in his way. I can't imagine a scenario that would make sense in game where he would just optionally.
I feel like there's like a bit of a spectrum though, because I think the player would be able to like easily accept that he needs to have revenge on these particular people.
Yeah.
But you can then create this sort of narrative for yourself that this character will want to like spare as many lives kind of like on the path to it, like regardless of whether they're
Yeah,
loyal to
I
that
can
person or
understand
not.
that. Yeah, I can get that.
The main thing for me is that just the lack of options, when I think that this game could have kept its purity for the players which wanted that, but also left itself open for people to express themselves while playing the game in other ways.
Okay, that's
So
fair.
yeah.
I don't think it is. I don't think it's fair at all.
No, it's not.
I
It's
mean,
not. It's
we're
not like
talking Niall here.
no, it's not the best reason, but like, that's the point of like a discussion. It's
That's
not,
what
I
I
think it's
suppose
fair.
so. But you were also free to say now you're wrong. It's a beat 'em up. You know
No,
what
I do think that's why I argued with him. Like,
We're all
do
gonna say that though.
Yeah, I do think a lot of aspects he is wrong, but like, yeah,
That's fine.
it's fair to imply your own points and stuff.
So just to wrapping up the score in there. So we
3 is insane.
with the 3.5 now completed through the average off, in the fact that it's now it's not even nearly a whole number. It's 6.625.
That might be the best one yet, though.
It's not. It's exactly what we fucking scored the last one.
Yeah, that's basically about what
Exactly what we
every
scored
game gets. Like, every game somehow gets the same score because someone gives it a 10 and the other person gives it a 1. So it always averages out to the same thing. Every game is the same.
Yeah, no. Try not to take our averages too seriously, because they are all 6.25 or 6.75.
That's the thing. I think that's what's good about giving these reasons during the opening statements, is that people can latch on to which opinions sound more like what they're gonna have about, or what they have about other games as well. So they're more likely to listen to one over the other, which I think is fine.
Yeah, I get that. So I want to go over some details about the game as well, because I completely forgot to do that at the beginning. So Sifu, it was developed by Slow Clap and it's published by Kepler Interactive. It was first released as a PlayStation PC timed exclusive. What are you clapping for?
Slow clap.
All right, I get it. That sounds good. So yeah, first released as a PlayStation PC timed exclusive in February 2022. Later released on, I believe it was Switch first, and then it got put on Xbox. It is listed as a beat 'em up, but it could also be classed as a roguelite. It's got some roguelite elements. Lewis, do you want to explain the roguelite elements to us?
Yeah, so basically the game consists of 5 levels. Each one, I'd say, getting progressively more difficult. There is a weird difficulty spike in the middle where it suddenly gets way easier. But for the most part, the game does tend to get harder as the game goes on. And essentially, the gameplay loop, which I was unaware of before I actually started playing this game. Again, when I chose this game, it was based purely on a whim and just what I'd seen. It wasn't based on any like prior knowledge of the game. So I was unaware that there was any roguelite elements at all. But essentially the gameplay loop is you have to get through all 5 levels without going over the age of, I believe it's 70. Once you get to the age of 70, if you die, you have to completely restart. Up until that point, one of the main features of the game is every time you die, you age. The older you get, the stronger you get. but it comes with negative effects in that you get decreased health. So in ways, the more you die, the game gets easier, but it also gets harder. And basically, the point of the game is to beat all 5 levels without going over that maximum age limit. So the game actually requires you to play through all those levels over and over again. Luckily, that's not bad because once you know what you're doing in a level, once you've played through it, I'd say the first time going through a level, it's probably going to take you about half an hour or so. But once you know the enemy patterns, the enemy layouts, and just the floor layouts, you can get through the levels in about 15 minutes, like tops. And even then, the game provides solutions in the playing through all the levels basically grants you different shortcuts in other levels. So you can actually end up skipping straight to the boss if you want to in those levels, if you've gotten really proficient at them, and you don't feel the need to go through the entire level for like upgrades and stuff. And essentially, the game revolves around you learning those patterns, learning those maneuvers, learning how to improve at the combat every single time you play it, and essentially getting through the levels with a lower age. The lower your age, it means that when you, so for example, if you reach level 3 at the age of 32, it means if you would like to, every time you start level 3, because you don't actually have to start from the beginning. If you start from level 3, you will then start at the age of 32. And if you want to lower that score and therefore make it easier for you on future playthroughs, you can then start from the beginning and try and get to level 3 at a lower age, and then in return that will make it a lot easier for you. And that's essentially the gameplay loop. It's only 5 levels, which looks weird when you first start the game because you think to yourself, how is 5 levels going to be any sort of like a challenge or any sort of like longevity to the game? But those 5 levels are just very finely crafted, and it really is like a skill thing. Like you're not going to be able to blast through these levels the first time, unless you play on the easier mode, I assume, because Niall and Oliver both didn't have too many issues from what I could tell with like dying and stuff. But yeah, it's essentially about just getting really good at these 5 levels and just sort of challenging yourself to see if you how at what age you can reach the end point, and then basing your skill level based off that essentially, and that's the entire gameplay loop.
So if you wanted to lower your age, do you have to start from the beginning? Let's say you're on level 3, you're starting at age 32, like you said. Can you go back? Can you go back to stage 2, or do you have to go back to the beginning?
Yeah.
Let's say you're at stage 3 at level 35, for example, and you also reach stage 2 at level 28. You can start from level 2 at stage 28 and then get to level 3 at stage 32. So you're 3 levels lower. That means on stage 3, whenever you start it now, you'll be level 32, like no matter what. But if you want to start stage 2, for example, at an earlier age, you would have to play stage 1 again and then hope you can get to stage 2 at like 23 this time as opposed to 28. And that means now every time you start at stage 2, you'll instead start at 23. But that does mean if you want to carry that age over to the next level, you'd have to do the level prior. So if you wanted to carry that new level 23 from stage 2, you'd then have to play straight through to stage 3 and then overwrite the previous age. So you don't always have to start from the beginning. If you did really good at the start, let's say you started off obviously at level 20 and level 1, you got stage 2 at level 23, you got stage 3 at level 34, but then you got to stage 5 at level 62, you could just replay stage 3 and then get to stage 4 at level 43 this time. You don't have to do it from the start. It's just basically dependent on the previous ages that you've reached and whether or not you think you're capable of beating the next level with your remaining lives. That's essentially the only reason.
It wouldn't have, so like, but if like for example you take 10 years off of level 2, it wouldn't subsequently take 10 years off of level 5.
No, yeah, you'd have to start from
You
level
have to
2
play
and
through
carry
all
that
again.
run. Essentially, yeah, it's like it's a new run until you overwrite the levels with your new age. It will restore whatever your original age was when you reach those levels.
But you can start the new run at any level, really.
Yes,
you don't have to start from
exactly.
Okay,
Yeah.
that explains it. So yeah, the reason I saw easy mode, obviously, it kind of strips all the roguelite elements out of it because it makes it so there's the modifiers you can add. So easy mode in itself just makes the combat less difficult, gives you more health, all that kind of stuff that you expect easy mode to do. But it also gives you modifiers you can add. And the biggest one is that you, like, whenever you defeat an elite enemy, so a slightly stronger enemy, you get a year back.
Yeah.
So I was finishing. I finished all the levels except for the last one as level either 20 or 21 every single time. You start at 20, by the way, so I was gaining any time I died, I was immediately gaining it back. So
Yeah,
made it a lot
you're
more
actually gaining
palatable.
more years back as the game went on because there's more elite enemies to kill.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's absolutely no danger of finishing the game anything like over 40, for example. It's just the
Yeah.
last boss
Insane.
the last boss. By the way, I couldn't stand the last boss. The difficulty spike on that is way too high, way too
Favorite
high.
enemy.
I do
Yeah.
agree it's hard, but I did get used to it. After playing through the game twice, I got used to like that last boss is hard, but it really is one of those things where you just get used to it, and he really isn't that difficult. A lot of his mechanics genuinely just revolve around parrying. If you parry most of his things and then just sort of dodge for the rest of it, you will win. Like there's no it's really overwhelming when you first play against him and the first 10 times you play against him. Like he's really annoying. Um but he's definitely one of those bosses where like he seems a lot scarier than he is, but once you know what you're doing, he really isn't that tough. I do agree that the difficulty spike is insane, especially from because in my opinion, the game peaks at stage 3 and it's really hard. The boss in stage 3, and then the stage 4 boss is piss easy, like
Yeah.
disgustingly easy. I don't know why. And then stage 5 just sort of just like punches you in the face. And I get what it's doing. It's combining everything you've learned from the first 4 levels, and it's saying, right, you're a master now. Like, go fight this dude. But you're not a master at that point, like at all. Like you're really still just sort of a baby. And yeah, you get your ass handed to you. But I also like that as well. I've said this to I might have said this to all of you before, but I like bosses that feel, especially final bosses. I like final bosses that feel like a final boss. Like they feel like a character that is like isn't compared or comparative to any of the other enemies in the game. Like it truly feels like a definitive boss, and he does. He doesn't. He's nowhere near difficult as any. Sorry, he's way more difficult than anyone else in the game. And I think that makes it feel a lot better when you actually fight him, because not only does it make you feel good when you actually conquer it and you actually deal with a fight, because you're like, I beat the best of the best. But it really does show the difference in skill between him and everyone else. And I don't know, I sort of like that aspect. I do agree it is a big difficulty jump, but I don't know, I like that. I'm a fan of that in games when the last boss is actually last boss material and not just another boss.
I just wish they ramped it up better. Like you say, it peaks at 3. 3 is difficult. 4 is
Yeah, I
piss
do.
easy,
Yeah,
and then it goes back up to
I
5.
do wish they just got harder each level. That level 4 is just a really weird. Well, I don't really get why it does that.
I think they shot themselves in the foot in a bit with some of her abilities, and also the way that she cycles through them. Distance for her is what breaks it, I think. Like the puzzle of that boss fight, because if you just gain enough distance, she will always do the
Oh,
same
do the
move,
same attack.
and
Yeah.
she will never hit you, because that's the
Yeah.
thing. The way she always ends that cycle. Sometimes she'll do 2 of them, but the way she always ends it, she does like a big like 360
sweep.
spin,
Yeah.
and that cannot be the entire size of the level, otherwise it'll be impossible. So they had to limit it, and as soon as you figure out the distance, then you just like run away when you've got all your hits and she's blocked, and then when she's finished, you just go back in again. And so I think that her difficulty was that she's the most readable, so she's the easiest, because like the occasional time, like the first few times I played against her, when I would get trapped by one of her like grabs or something, it was difficult to then reset.
Yeah.
It's just that once you realize, then yeah. But like I think the third enemy is one of the hardest, because it's difficult to find that range where you're safe because of her ranged attacks. And I also found them particularly difficult to dodge as well, and just because of the perspective of it. Yeah, with the fifth boss in particular, I think I died like 14 times in total. Obviously, I was playing on easy, but that was another boss where I felt like he was difficult if I wasn't patient. It was
Yeah.
one of those where if I did a few punches, well, like literally 1 or 2 with him because of how short that window is, and then just run away, then it wasn't too big of a deal. I think that this game, the lack of variety in circumstances that can trigger movement, attack cycles, attack combinations, makes it easy to learn, but also can make bosses, if you're patient, easy. But that's the thing as well. I think it's bad because you got to protect your players from themselves sometimes. Because, like, for example, that fifth boss, I know that there was probably easier ways to deal with him if I learnt some combos, but I found a way that works. And even though it was incredibly boring to do it and tedious, 'cause I think it took me like 40 minutes that boss fight.
Jesus Christ.
With the 14 deaths, it took 40 minutes because it was. I'm not over exaggerating when I say it was 1 or 2 hits, and I'd have to run away.
Right.
But because I found something that works, I wasn't keen to learn anything else.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's my thoughts on
It's
the
quite
boss.
funny saying all this because I think Alex would argue that stage 4 is the hardest in the game for some reason.
Yeah, because I don't know why. I couldn't read her patterns, and I'd just get trapped in a combo, and she'd just kill me instantly. And then I'd get up, and then she'd be in mid combo, and then I'd die again. And then it would just be a cycle of that, and I'd just die over and over and over again.
Just got run away, fella.
I tried, and then she'd do the fucking like the sweep thing, and then get knocked over, and then I couldn't get back up, and then I'd die again.
Yeah, like I said, her combos are brutal if you get caught in them. 100%.
If you get caught, yeah,
Yeah.
but I just think they're so simple.
Yeah,
It's very
yeah.
difficult to get stuck in that. But I suppose everyone
I mean,
struggles with different things. But...
Yeah, maybe Alex should have played on easy.
maybe that was my big issue is I should have played on
Would have got
easy.
an nice 8
But
out of 10 out, yeah.
Yeah, but I respect Alex for playing it on the normal difficulty. And to be
Yeah.
fair, I
don't
still stand by.
respect
He
you
would have beat
at
the
all,
game.
at all.
He would have beat the game if he had just replayed stage 4. He would just refuse though. Like just
no,
outright.
I attempted it. I even attempted to do stage 3 to make it so I'd do stage 4 at an earlier age as well. So if I had more more lives on the fourth boss, but I started doing stage 3, and then I realized, right, I need to get the statues again, so I had to replay all of stage 3, and then I did the stage 3 boss again, and then I kept dying against that, and I was like, right, I've had enough, I'm just going to attempt the stage 5 boss again. But the amount of times I got to like one hit, and then the final boss would just kill me, it was actually unreal. I got really good at parrying though. Like I
Yeah.
never like parry and stuff in games, but like in this game, I actually learned how to parry and got really good at it.
Yeah.
don't
I mean,
think
it's
did
just
any
due to the
parrying.
combat being as good as it is. Like like I was saying at the start of the thing, I genuinely think the game almost has perfect combat, especially for it's the best gameplay I've ever experienced in a beat 'em up. I've never wanted to, because I'm not someone who's very savvy with combos in games. Like I'm shit at it. Like I am just straight up just bad at it. I'm not.
Terrible.
I'm very bad at retaining that information. But Sifu had me doing all of it. It had me trying to remember the moves that I'd bought. It had me trying to like chain them together just because of the way that the chain actually worked. It had me like actually dodging and parrying. I think it did a very good job at promoting all of it. I think it did even if you were sort of bad at it, I just think it did a very good job at engaging with the player and forcing you to learn how to do it. Otherwise, you just suffer basically. If you don't figure out how to do it, you're not making any progress. And I don't think it holds your hand, which is good. But I also don't think it spits in your face. I think it gives you enough time to sort of learn your way around things.
That's interesting. I think that gave me an idea. I think that one of the good things that which could have been added on easy was you could like pin combos to the UI.
That would
like
be
on the
even
main
on
screen.
easy mode. Yeah, sorry, on normal mode, I would have liked
Yeah.
something like that. Yeah, that would have
Yeah,
been
just
very
because
nice.
I found it so different. I mean, I got a few off by accident. Like I swept some legs sometimes, and I was like, oh
But
shit.
there was some that I remembered, like the ones that I unlocked, but I didn't go out my way to like look at the combo list and be like, right, I need to learn this, this, and this. I just spam the buttons and hope for the best.
I just remembered Crotch Punch. I got through the first 2 bosses on Crotch Punch
Yeah,
alone.
forward,
It was great.
square. Yeah,
Yeah, it was a
punch
great
in the
time.
crotch
I don't think I even
repeatedly.
saw Crotch.
So what was everyone's what was everyone's favorite boss, and then we're gonna get into my rant about how all games should have an easy mode after that. What was everyone's favorite boss?
For me, the fourth one was actually my favorite because it's the first one where I felt like I had figured something out with the game.
Yeah.
Like I actually understood something because every other boss, like I think it's probably because I was playing on easy mode and I didn't have to, but like it was just run at the boss, do a bunch of damage, get damaged a bunch, and that sort of thing, and then just sort of use my lives as lives rather than like an endless pool of lives rather than a limit. Can you get them back? But yeah, that's it for me. Fourth one.
My favorite one. I won't speak super long. my favorite one was the third boss, just because I think aesthetically it was just the most interesting. I think it had a really cool transition because even though all bosses have 2 stages, I feel like she had the most significant change in which like her entire second phase is nothing like the first phase. All her attack patterns are completely different. The weapons she uses, she goes from short range weapons to long range weapons. I think there's such a big shift in that boss, and not only that, it just looks really damn cool, and the music to go along with it and complementing it is really good. And I just think even disregarding boss, stage 3 as a whole was also my favorite. I just think a museum is a fun place and a fun setting to just kick the shit out
It
of
just
people,
looked
to be
really
honest.
nice as well. It was great.
So yeah, stage 3 for me.
Alex,
Yeah, I agree with Lewis. I also enjoyed the fact that if you unlocked the like grabbing weapons, you can throw her kunai back at her, and I
Yeah,
used that a lot during
yeah.
that fight as well.
Action, throw it back.
yeah, it was my least favorite. Like 3 was my least favorite until I messaged you guys and you was like, "Oh, you can just catch stuff."
It makes it so much easier.
That was completely my fault for not reading the actual like the full move list you
Yeah.
can unlock. Once you did that, I felt so fucking powerful catching that shit she was throwing at me. Because before that, I was just getting absolutely rinsed by him. Like no matter how much I tried to dodge, it was hitting me every single time. But yeah, like Lewis said, the whole level leading up to that as well was just really, really like the third level was just the best.
That might have been the reason why it's so difficult to dodge, was actually to make it easier to grab stuff. Like the fact that it's always very close to you. Because I also found it impossible to dodge them. I would
And
dodge
they
them.
intended you to get that ability for that for that boss.
I agree.
Right. So I got a question for you, Lewis.
Yeah.
So the fact that this game had an easy mode,
Yes.
did that decrease your enjoyment of it at all?
No. So I did briefly talk about this with Alex. Mention it in passing. I played the game, to make it clear to everyone. I played the game twice. I played it. I platinumed the game. Um,
See
I
Lewis
played.
Platinum.
I played through the game once on the regular difficulty because I wanted to experience it the way it was meant to be played, the way it was designed. And my second playthrough was done on the easy mode with no modifiers, just pure on easy, just because I wanted to get a sense comparatively, just to see what the game was like. Even without the modifiers, easy was incredibly simple. I did not struggle at all. I turned modifiers on after I'd beaten everything because I had to go back to get some stuff for the platinum. And yeah, I can definitely see the difference with the modifiers. But even just on the easy mode, you had a lot of the stuff that the modifiers provided. The main things that the modifiers provided, from what I remember, was mainly just the health thing. On easy mode as a standard, it gives you a massive health pool. Your health in the normal mode is tiny compared to the one you get in easy. It is ridiculous. And also, like Oliver and I was saying before, when you kill things on easy mode, or not kill them, when you kill the elite soldiers or the elite enemies, it completely refills your health bar. As well as the death mechanic not mattering as much, because in easy mode you only age 1 year every time you die, whereas when you die in the regular mode, it
It builds up.
increases by 1 every time you die. So you die once, it goes up by 1. You die twice in a row, it goes up by 2, etc., etc.
That is something that twisted my melon with that. I was for certain they would be the same across the board.
No, it's what
But
makes it so difficult.
when you say in a row, what do you mean? Do you mean like per fight or per level or?
So there's points in, so like elites for you, bring back your health. In normal, elites would tend to lower your age, and not like your age. Sorry, it would lower the
With
amount.
lower your death counter.
It would, yeah, it would lower the amount of age that you were going to lose if you died. So if you died 3 times in a row, that would mean the next time you die, you're gonna lose 4, or you're gonna gain 4 years. But beating an elite on normal mode would lower that by 1. So it would mean if you died 3 times in a row, it would now only be 2. So it means next time you die, it would go up by 3. So the game gave you multiple opportunities. If you were doing bad in a run, if you could then get through to the end of the stage by beating elites, you could lower your death counter back down. It wouldn't lower your age, but it would lower your death counter, which means you would be losing less or not gaining as much age every time you die. It's one of like the things that makes the game so difficult. Is it's fine when you die once. You die once every now and again. It's fine. It's dying multiple times in a row that's a massive detriment. Because when you're aging like 6 years every time you die, because like I said, once you hit level 70, anything after level 70 is when you die. So if you get to like literally if you get to 71 and then you die again, you're just dead. If you get 70 and you die, you're dead. It doesn't matter where in 70, just if you get 70 and you die, it's over. And that's like, yeah, that's what ends up making the game really difficult. But on easy, all of that is removed because you only age by 1 year. And not only that, easy mode allows you to buy age back, which again you can't do in normal mode. In normal mode, you don't get the option to buy age back. The only thing you can buy in normal mode that's similar to that is you can buy your death counter back to 0. But
That's
obviously,
only on the statues.
yeah, that doesn't give you your age back. If you're level 42, you can't go down to level 41, 40. Like, you're stuck at that age. Whereas on the normal mode, or the easy mode, sorry, you could lower your age by 5 years with the statue, was it, I believe?
Yeah,
That felt like
you could do that twice.
Yeah, that like Niall just said, that felt incredibly overkill for easy, because like I said, easy was already a cakewalk. I feel like that option should have been a
Should
thing
have
in
been.
normal. I feel like it
Mm.
would have made more sense in the normal mode. Adding it to easy was sort of like it was laughing in your face a little bit, saying, "We know you want an easy game, but we're gonna give you like a really easy, like you
Like a
can't fail.
baby.
We will not let you."
like 5 years did make it feel like the lives didn't matter at
Yeah,
all.
like
Like
at
if it was
all.
1 year, and that was fine. Like that was the thing. I got to the 3rd level without knowing that thing was there, and then by the end of the 3rd level, I think I was like 27
Yeah,
or something
like
like that.
I think it's very overkill for what it's trying to do. And I also realized I just didn't answer the question because I went on a big rant. But anyway,
They didn't answer the question at
yeah,
all.
the point is no. I was leading into it. The point I was trying to make is that I experienced it on all levels of difficulty, and playing it through on easy, I had just as much of a fun time as I did on normal. Is the point that I was leading up to?
That's good.
Here's a
That's great.
question though.
Yeah.
Did you try it on the challenging mode?
No, I did not try it on the challenging mode because I was afraid. And it wasn't
Even though you'd already beaten the game.
Surprised
No, and that
you
was
surprised you needed the platinum.
No, and that's not the main reason. The actual main reason is because and this is just like a personal reason, I guess. You can't raise the difficulty; you can only lower it. So because I played it all on normal, I got all the way to the end, and one of the trophies was to get all the combos. I'd nearly unlocked all the combos. If I'd wanted to do it on challenging mode, I would have had to completely wipe my save and then restart. So I didn't. I just simply played on the easy mode. I lowered the difficulty to the easy mode, and then I did the rest of it on that. And then when I'd done the platinum, I was like, I don't really want to delete my save because I kind of just like that I have a complete save. So that's the main reason I didn't try challenging mode, just because I would have had to delete the entire save, and I didn't really want to.
That is an interesting decision that they made to do that. I don't see
Yeah,
the point in it.
you don't have multiple save slots either for some reason.
Yeah.
It's a bit of an odd one. But yeah, the overall thing is like I'm defending Oliver and Niall here in that playing on easy I don't think belittled the experience at all, really. I think it was just as fun. I think it was just as engaging. I just think it was a good time overall, and I didn't expect to be saying that. I thought it was gonna be sort of like mind numbing and a bit brain dead playing it on easy. If I'm being honest with you, I thought it was just gonna be a bit of a piss take. And even though I think it does, even because we're just speaking about the mechanics then, I still think the gameplay is just that good that regardless of the difficulty you're playing it on, you're going to have a good time with it. Which I think is just a reason to compliment how good the game design is. Because you actually have to play the game a second time if you want the credits. That's the main reason people play it a second time. Is that the game advocates for you to play it again, so that you can get the quote unquote passive ending, where you don't let any of the bosses die, and then that gives you the true ending to the game.
You kill
and
all
it
the
rolls credits
underlings.
and stuff. Yeah.
All the people
Um,
just getting a wage.
I mean, you could just
following orders.
Yeah, why?
Yeah, literally.
Minimum wage workers, for the CEOs.
But yeah, you can argue about easy mode on games because
So the point, so
people that know-
the question that I actually wanted to ask, I should have probably been more clear, does the fact that the game have an easy mode, did that affect your enjoyment of the normal mode?
what do you mean? It made the normal mode worse.
No, right. So my issue is, and again, this is pointing the finger directly at Souls likes, is that everyone, all the Souls-like fans out there get fucking irate when anyone brings up the fact that it should have, it should have an easy mode kind of thing, because for some reason it feels like it's a detriment to them and it affects them because other people that can't play those games at those difficulties, and that's not even just like idiots like me or Niall, you know what I mean? It's people like that.
I'll go through
Just bringing nihilism.
People that like it's all about accessibility, and people that like genuinely could not, if they wanted to, could finish the game on normal. You know what I mean? Like I don't think there's any downside at all to adding an easy mode to a game, and I applaud
Drag me in,
I applaud Slow Clap. I applaud Slow Clap for doing it, because it just proves it doesn't affect the rest of the game at all. You can still play it on normal. You can still have the fucking bragging rights that you want.
Yeah.
Just it lets other people play the game as well.
I mean, my short argument to this, because I want other people to be able to discuss it and talk about it. My just short response and argument to this is I am fine with games adding easy mode. I'm not like these people who get upset that a game is being tainted. It doesn't affect you. If you want to play it on the normal mode, you can. Like, that's just, it is what it is. An easy mode being there doesn't affect you. The issue that I think can arise from it, which I think is difficult for some games. I've never made a game myself personally, so I don't know how difficult it is. But I feel like a game like Elden Ring or something, whatever, is such a finely tuned and finely crafted game, and the experience that it wants to give, that I feel like it could potentially be really difficult to make an entire mode that would then go against the game design and then make it easy. It seems to me like it would just be a really hard thing to do. I'm not against there being easy modes in games to make it more accessible, for sure. I just don't know. Again, very specific niche situation like Dark Souls, Elden Ring, stuff like that. I don't know how difficult it would be to implement something like that to a game that's entire point is to be hard. So I don't know.
Just give me twice the amount of health and give the enemy half the health.
I'm going to jump in.
Yeah.
So I think that it's... Well, first of all, I will say that the expansion DLC to Elden Ring actually does something like this, but I think does it in a clever way which works for Elden Ring. So the problem with the DLC is that you unlock it when you beat 2 particular bosses, but there is no way for the developers to control what power level you are at and what items you have and all that thing before you do that. So in order to deal with that issue, I forgot the exact name of them because it's actually like a Gaelic pronunciation. But basically, in the Shadow of the Erd Tree expansion, primarily through exploration, but also through beating bosses, you can get things called shadow fragments, which can boost up your power level essentially and get you to the right level. And the main thing that it does though is it allows the player to control the difficulty. It allows the player to control how powerful they are. The bosses stay the same, but they can control how powerful they are. They don't have to get them all. They can choose to stop at some point, or they can look up a guide and find all of the areas and get them all before going forward. And I think for that particular game, that works. I think that is a stupid argument that for players to say that having an easy difficulty lessens their experience, because it'll be for 2 reasons. It would be because they would choose the easy mode if it was available, because they have no self-control, or they played the game to feel superior to other people.
Yeah.
Which I think are 2 reasons that shouldn't be considered. But I do think that the game is, and the bosses in particular, are designed for the very specific difficulty that they are creating in the game. And I think that instead of giving the players like double the health and the bosses half the health, because that'll lessen the enjoyment of the experience, instead giving you a way to like very, granularly determine your power level is probably the best way to do it. And they did it in Shadow of the Erd Tree, and that was met with a lot of backlash. But I think that's probably the best.
It was met with a lot of backlash because it didn't It didn't make the fights easy. It made the fights the way they should be in terms of difficulty.
It also, I mean, to be fair, the most of the backlash was actually because people thought the DLC was too hard because they didn't know about the shadow fragments.
They had to get the shadow fragments to make it to the difficulty that they were used to in terms of Elden Ring.
Yeah. That's me.
So we're going to wrap up the actual review there because we're 45 minutes in. So we still need to do 20 questions.
Yippee.
What?
So we gave Sifu a average score of 6 points. I'm just gonna round it up to. I'm just gonna call it 6.5, I guess, something like
Yeah,
that.
that's fair.
Well, it'll be a 6.7.
6 point, yeah, 6. I don't.
If it's
I
six point
don't know.
six two five, then it's 6.6.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Basically,
yeah,
You
six
round-
point
you
six.
round- You round up past 5.
When do we start rating stuff on a 100-point scale?
How long to beat when they introduce the
I
point
hate
five
that. I hate
system.
that. That's why I like
I
nice,
like it.
nice full numbers. It just makes calculating the average a lot better. Alas. Anyway, so 20 questions. It is Alex's turn to choose a game. Are we all dreading this or what? Because I am.
I am.
I'm not dreaded. I'm always excited, but
He
it could be
picked
bad, yeah.
Tulip, and Tulip. I'm sorry, was a banger. It was
No.
a surf.
Tulip was a banger. Katamari was a banger.
Yeah.
999 was a banger.
999 was a
Nah,
banger.
I
I
don't
did
know.
like 999.
I don't know whether that's true at all. I really hope it's not another visual.
I think everyone's gonna like this one.
I like
Is it
to
a
think
game
so
that
as
we
well.
can guess?
Yeah.
Okay.
Is that our first
Oh, that's a
question?
good start.
Let's. Niall, you go first.
Oh, okay. Is it? No, that's a silly question for Alex. Is it a visual novel game?
No.
Thank
Okay,
fuck
cool.
for that, Jesus. Right, now get you. Oh, I'll do it on my fingers. It's fine. Lewis.
Do it on your fingers.
Does this game contain a good game? No. Does this game contain voice acting?
I don't know. I've not played the game.
Oh dear.
Can I ask a different question?
Yeah, go for it. Yeah.
Does this game? Did this game come out between the years of 2000 and 2005?
No.
Some wild questions today.
That's a while.
Alright, it's Alex. It's Alex.
Try
Let me
to pin it
let me
down.
try and get in Alex's brain.
Getting it.
Is it a platformer?
That's one of its genres.
I'll take that as a yes. I'll take that as a yes.
Is another one of its genres a collectathon?
No.
Okay.
It's not banjo.
Not banjo. Thankfully.
Wait, is it me again?
It is.
Yeah.
Damn it. Was this game well received by critics?
Yes. Yes.
There you
He
go,
was
guys.
very
it's
sure
a
about
real,
that.
It's a real game.
Game of the year winner. This.
It's
I'd
a
be
real
What do you
worried
mean
when
it's
the day
a real
comes that
game?
someone says no to that question.
Would
Yeah.
this be classed as a first party title?
No.
No, right. Possibly
Third party as
multi-platform.
well.
Yeah, possibly multi-platform then.
Possible multi-platform.
We need to try and pin down the console or something. Well, not the console, but the
generation.
yeah.
Is it a current gen? It come out on current gen.
Current gen.
Oh,
There we go. There you go, Lewis.
Wait, what genre did you say it was?
Platforming is one of the genres,
One of the
but
genres.
collectathon is not the other one.
Current
Gen.
current gen.
It's multi.
Current gen. This is a wild one for me.
It is.
It's
I did not expect
multi-platform.
that.
It's current gen.
Which means it's got to be out on Game Pass.
No, he
Or-
went through
or
this the other day,
PlayStation.
didn't he?
Wow.
He gave us the scoop the other day and said that it isn't. Remember, you told him to check.
But remember, I said I had 4 games.
Oh, it's on Game Pass. It's on Game Pass.
Um.
Is it? I don't know.
Okay.
You have to ask.
I'm gonna say. Does this game feature? Is the game's main character a human, or no? Is the game's main character an animal?
Lewis, make up your fucking mind. What's the question you're asking?
An animal.
Is it an animal?
Is it an animal?
Is it an animal?
No.
Right, well, it's not human. Right, okay, so it's not human either. There you go.
Wait, what?
Is
Wait, what?
He didn't
You
say
asked
it
for
wasn't
an
even an
animal.
yeah, and you know even the way he said it, he went, no.
But it
So
might have been
Probably
pretty silly
because the
question.
fucking way you asked the question.
no, if it was straight up, just an easy, not an
I don't
animal.
know.
He would have
That's
just
the
gone.
answer.
He
I
doesn't
don't
know.
It's on the wiki.
He doesn't know.
Yeah, I know, but I couldn't tell you.
No,
No.
based on looking at it.
How little do you know about this game? You don't know you play as.
But you don't know what the main character is.
I mean, I'm looking at it now, and I couldn't tell you.
All right, okay. Right.
Oliver's question.
I asked a good question. Fuck you.
Oliver's. Is it my question?
It is your question.
That's what it is. Current gen. See,
Current gen.
see, you don't play as a. See,
And
we don't
he's
play
not
as
an
animal and
animal.
all that. Do you shoot guns at all?
Yes.
You do shoot guns, platform
Oh.
and
So
and
it can't
guns?
be that Ubisoft game where you play as an animal.
No, because he said that you don't
Beyond
play as
Good
an
and
animal.
Evil.
It's not an animal.
That's what I mean. That's what I'm saying. Like, it can't be that game, you know.
I was. This is a question for the group. Do you know that new Prince of Persia game? Can you shoot guns in that? And is it on Game Pass?
Definitely not. And you,
He would know that he isn't an animal.
yeah. Lewis is stuck on this
we
animal.
need to
thing.
focus on the animal part. You need something that looks kind of like an animal.
No, you do not shoot guns in Prince of Persia.
Okay, right. Well, that's my question to the group then. But okay, so I think we need to consider as well that platformer might not be like the biggest thing.
Well,
about this
yeah,
game.
he did just one of the aspects.
Yeah.
A lot of games can be platformers that have nothing to do with platformers.
So I think we should just think about first-person shooters. Oh no, shooters. Probably third platform. Third platform.
Third platform
person.
shooters.
Well, we don't know. We don't even know whether it's 2D or 3D.
That was a good question.
That's true, actually, yeah.
Yeah. So, is it 2D?
No.
No, it's 3D. Damn.
That's 3D.
Just to be clear though, I'm not talking about the 3D where it's like a side scroller and like
Yeah.
it's modeled in 3D, but it's
Two-
clear the 2D
2.5D.
perspective. Yeah.
I'm never choosing a 2D game.
Okay. Cool.
You're missing
I
out some
hate 2D
cracking games.
platforms.
Right, so that's question 10 done. Right, so.
Yeah, we got 11
I
more.
feel like we're not anywhere closer to. I feel like
Not current gen.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the
Yeah.
first time we've
And
had like an
an
answer
animal.
which narrows it down.
Okay, you have to. Where's me?
It's you.
Yeah, there's you.
I'm gonna ask a sick question,
Yeah.
and my question is.
Oh, that's a sick question. that
Lewis
name.
Cause is the most dead air out of anyone in this group.
I'm coming up because I'm trying to. I can't come up with something. I know I've come up with it before, but I can't come up with something without thinking about it. Is it? Would you say? Would I say? Would?
What people say.
Okay, no, I've got it. Is this game a? Did this game score higher than an 80 on Metacritic?
Fuck me.
It should be.
Which
in
I don't
the-
know.
It should be on
I
the
know it
website.
reviewed
question is
well.
previous
Oh wait,
response.
it's on
Yeah, we
Wikipedia.
also know it reviewed well,
Be
so
under
it probably
reception.
doesn't help. at all.
Yes.
It did.
Probably should have. 80 is not like even good of an. I should have said 90. Right. Well, we
Oliver's
do.
go.
We know. Well, we know it's a pretty damn good game. So.
Yeah,
Its
yeah.
lowest score was an 8 out of 10.
Oh, it's a banger. There we go. We didn't know that before.
Right. Is it my go?
Yes,
Yeah.
you're
Yeah.
good.
Right.
These are awful questions.
Yeah, no, we need to make a list really of like good questions. So
Wait.
so we don't have to think
Question
about
to the group.
You hit me with what?
Did Neon White come out current gen?
What the fuck is neon white?
Yeah, I was gonna say.
Well, you
Yeah.
remember you said this is the Lethal Deal game where it's the cards and you
Oh,
put
that is the
money.
Lethal Deal game.
Did that come out current gen? Because I think that fits the bill.
Yeah, that only came out like 2 years ago, I think.
Right, okay.
I don't
Right,
want to
so
play a game with fucking cards in it.
What? That's rude.
it seems like a
no.
banger to be. It seems like a banger to be fair.
Right. Okay. Does the game have any card-based mechanics?
It does.
Is it Neon White?
It's neon white.
How
There
the
we go.
that was really good. To be fair, that you pulled out your ass. What the fuck?
I was just
That
thinking.
was very good. I want to get a trailer up for the old audience.
It's a
Wow.
first-person shooter, puzzle platformer.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it looked really good every time I saw the trailer.
No, I'm probably gonna enjoy this. I reckon.
It did just
Exactly.
look like
I think everyone's going to enjoy it.
I
Oh,
like
shit,
Liquid
one
Deals.
sec.
Lewis, it's based around speedrunning as well, so you aim to beat the levels as fast as possible.
Oh
so
no,
I
yeah, I
think
could
you'd like
tell
that.
that. I could tell that from like looking at it. I genuinely like every time I saw that game, it looked fun. So I'm happy.
Yeah.
It's just, it
I
looks a
can't
bit
imagine
animated.
I can't imagine that game is very long either.
It's 10 hours.
Is it? Oh.
hmm
I would have thought it'd be like.
So it's
5
on
or 6.
how long to beat.
Yes.
It looks a bit doomy, so I might like it. Yeah,
A bit doomy.
a bit doomy.
I'm excited.
Yeah, no, it looks alright. It looks
got a cool art style
just
as well.
cards, innit? It's just cards. It stole the idea off Niall as well.
Literally.
It did, but now it took too long to release it.
Only
did.
one sinner can stay. Oh, this looks proper Persona-y, this.
No,
It's a bit
doesn't.
It does, like
It
the
looks
conversation.
Persona-y.
Oh no, mate.
Wait, you can converse.
You can converse in it, and it looks
Wow.
mad Persona-y.
The art style is very Persona-y, but that's obviously fine. Oliver's just an old fuddy-duddy.
I'm not an
He
old
is.
fuddy-duddy at all. That's not what's occurring. Right, so that's fine then. That's good. Right, so we'll that'll be up in
That's fine.
is it is it
That's
October?
acceptable.
This will be up on Halloween.
Halloween. This will be up on Halloween. Spooky game.
It is currently September.
Oliver's going to be
24th.
terrified.
I am. I'm probably going to be terrified of it. But other than that, that's it. That's it for our video game book club. We shall see you next time. Goodbye.
Bye.
Bye.
Right.